You're watching World Talks. I'm Aaron Darman. Moldova is pushing to join the European Union, but the talks to get there won't be easy. In fact, the process isn't just logistical, it's highly political. So here to discuss the negotiations is Cristina Gherasimov, Deputy Prime Minister for European Integration of Moldova. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for inviting.
So let's start with security for Eastern Europe. It means belonging to Western structures, NATO, the EU. But the speed of Moldova and its haste to join the EU, what kind of advantages and problems might those bring up?
Moldova is a neutral country by constitution. Our people chose to be neutral, and we respect that fact. We have also chosen to be part of the European Union because we see the European Union to be a project for peace, a project that promotes and brings stability. This is exactly what we would like to be part of, the big European family where peace, stability and prosperity are cherished by ordinary citizens. I think that this brings a lot of opportunities to our country. This brings a lot of opportunities for existing EU member states. If you bring your investments to Moldova today, in 5 years, you will see more than just a return, a double return on your investment. It brings also an opportunity for Moldovans to be able to access the internal market. We are already being able to export. We export 65% to the European Union already. It's also an opportunity for us to grow as a country, to transform our society in a future EU member state. 2030
has been set down a bit as a target for Moldova to join the EU. Is that possible? We're now sitting in 2024, 6 years. Can you imagine sitting in Moldova in 2030 and being part of the EU?
We are setting this goal for ourselves domestically. We want to be part of the European Union by that time, to be ready to be part of the European Union.
Is it possible?
Of course, we know it's a two-way street, so we need to have also the political backup of the 27 EU member states. On our side of the table, we are doing everything possible. We have mobilized the entire public administration, society. We're all working towards this goal. So yes, on our side of the table, it is possible for Moldova to be a EU member state by 2030.
Are you confident that the other member states will come to the table too? Do you think that both sides of the table will come to an agreement by 2030? What's your kind of confidence level on that?
I can only state what I see today, and today I see unprecedented openness on behalf of all EU member states to help us advance on our European path. So if we speak about today, there is sufficient political support behind Moldova joining the EU. We have seen that EU member states have moved with the speed of light to make sure that both Moldova and Ukraine have the official opening of the accession talks this summer. We very much appreciate all of the efforts that this community has put together to make sure that this happens. We don't know what's going to happen by 2030, but as we look at the setup today, there is openness and strong political support to make that happen.
So here today, confidence levels reasonably high?
Reasonably high.
Now tell me, how does the Moldovan public perceive EU integration? Are there significant divisions or concerns given Moldova's history?
Moldova is fully supportive of its EU path. We are even going to organize a referendum this autumn on 20th of October, where we ask every Moldovan to come out and cast their vote in favor of our EU future, or not, should it be the case. Moldova, as any other society, has different political preferences, but most of the Moldovans are backing our European future. They are Europeans. We feel Europeans. It's now up for us to make sure that our institutions is ready to be a future EU member state, to make sure that our economy becomes competitive enough so that it can contribute to Europe's overall economy. At the same time, we are already contributing to Europe's security and stability. We're contributing to the peacekeeping missions both in Kosovo and Lebanon. We will contribute to the training mission in Somalia starting this October. We have sent our firefighters to join Greece in its efforts to fight wildfires this summer as part of EU civil mechanism that Moldova has joined last year. We have sent our policemen to also contribute to securing the security of the Olympic Games in Paris. So we are already contributing also to Europe's overall security without not yet being a full EU member state.
But certainly domestically, what happens if that referendum doesn't go your way?
It's a geopolitical referendum in the sense that we ask our people to come out and set the choice, the geostrategic choice for our country. It doesn't mean that if the referendum doesn't go well, things will change for the country. It will show the level of support, and we are very much confident that all Moldovans will take this day, 20th of October, very seriously and come out to cast their pro-European choice.
Has that campaign on the referendum, is that a major effort to try and get Moldovans, A, to come and vote in the referendum, and secondly, to bring them onto your side of the aisle? Or has that process been reasonably straightforward? Has it taken some convincing?
The campaign around the referendum takes place against a very polluted informational environment. There is heavy disinformation and propaganda promoted by Russia, by forces backing up the Russian interests in Moldova to destabilize the country as we move closer to the European Union. We hear and we witness strong narratives that choosing the EU, choosing a European future means bringing war onto Moldova. This association that the Russian propaganda tries to promote among our citizens is meant to instill fear, uncertainty, and that is our main challenge today, to make sure that every Moldovan goes out and votes without fear and with confidence in tomorrow's day.
You mentioned Russia and you mentioned mis and disinformation. Is Russia interfering in the politics of Moldova?
We see electoral interference on behalf of Russia in Moldovan politics, yes. And we see a very classic toolbox that is used not only in Moldova, from funds coming in to support political opponents or to support vote buying as we've seen in previous elections as well. What is different this time is the magnitude of the interference in our democratic processes.
How does Moldova's pursuit of EU membership affect its relationship with countries like Ukraine, like Russia?
We have very good relations with our neighbor, with Ukraine. We very much support and we are in solidarity with the Ukrainian people for everything they're doing to defend their independence, to defend their sovereignty. Today, Ukraine defends not only Ukraine, today Ukraine defends Moldova, today Ukraine defends the entire European continent, our peace and security. The fact that we can sit and talk with you together here is because the Ukrainians are fighting every day on the front line to make sure that we can enjoy our ordinary lives.
Will the political scene, divided between pro-European and pro-Russian forces, be able to focus on the goal of membership in the European Union in Moldova?
Every Moldovan wants to live in peace and stability, and this is an objective that we all share. There is no difference between political preferences when it comes to cherishing the values that support and underlie the whole peace and security in the region. From this perspective, regarding of political preferences, every Moldovan knows what is most important for us. To be part of the European Union, we need that peace and stability, and we take it with full responsibility.
Now, we've talked a lot about the aspiration to get into the European Union. What kind of reforms does Moldova need to enact in Moldova to ensure its legislative, institutional frameworks are in line with what the European Union expects?
We need to strengthen our democratic processes. Here we are talking about strengthening our rule of law. I think the judicial reform lies at the heart of all of the reforms that any candidate country needs to undergo to be able to be considered for EU membership. So from this perspective, the current government has undertaken a strong stance that we want to make sure we have a clean judiciary, we have a clean prosecution system, we get rid with the corrupt practices in these institutions so that we can have a consolidated democracy as we move forward. At the same time, we have to strengthen our economy. We want to become more competitive. Here, the government is investing a lot in digitalizing the economy. We are investing in cutting on red tape. We are trying to make sure that by the deadline that we've set for ourselves to be ready for EU accession by 2030, we are going to be an equally competitive economy as any other EU member state. So these are two big, let's say, parts of the reforms that we have assumed for ourselves as a country, and we are doing this first and foremost for our citizens, for our society, for our own democracy.
You mentioned corrupt practices there. How do you deal with issues like corruption in Moldova? It's been noted as a potential stumbling block to get into the European Union, or at least that is something that needs to be cleaned up. How deep has the corruption been in Moldova, and how much of an issue is it, and how much does it need to be cleaned up?
Moldova used to be a corrupt country where corrupt practices were an ordinary thing. For the last 3 years, since we have undertaken serious reforms in this chapter of our society, we have seen the perception corruption index by Transparency International showing a solid improvement in our corruption scores. So we have jumped significantly in the rankings, which shows that what we are doing in terms of the reforms are actually working.
Deputy Prime Minister for European Integration of Moldova, Cristina Gherasimov, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And that's World Talks. Do stay with us here on TVP World. I'm Aaron Darman. Goodbye for now.